Welcome to this video. Today in this video, we will learn to find the mean of grouped data by direct method. You may recall that in the previous class, we learned to organize data into ungrouped and grouped frequency distributions. Let's take a look at it. The number of individual bags of wool kept in the 30 shops located in the wool market is represented as follows. We refer to this as raw data. With the help of this data, can you tell how many shops have 18 wool bags? Absolutely correct. We have already learned to use the ungrouped frequency distribution tables to solve these types of problems, which is represented by the following table. By looking at the table, we can tell that there are 4 shops that have 18 wool bags each. If you are asked to find the mean of this data from these ungrouped data, will you be able to find it? To find the mean, divide the sum of observations by the number of observations. That is, multiply each observation xi by its corresponding frequency fi. Divide the sum of their product fi xi, that is 674, by the sum of their frequency fi, that is 30. On solving this, the mean is obtained as 22.46 approximately, where the sign sigma means summation. But note that this method is useful only when you have small data in daily life situations. But can you tell what approach we need to adopt when the number of data is very high? Let's try to understand with the help of the above example. Since the amount of data is huge, we classify the ungrouped data into groups and thus reduce their size. From the above data, we can tell that we have a minimum of 13 bags and a maximum of 34 bags. Therefore, by making the width of grouped data as a class interval of 5, convert them into grouped data, where the first interval is 10 to 15, the second interval is 15 to 20, and thus the last interval will be 30 to 35. But keep in mind, while allocating the frequencies of class intervals, the observation falling in the upper class limit of any class interval is taken in the next class interval. We can tell that in the class interval 10 to 15, there will be 5 shops. In 15 to 20, there will be 8 shops. And in the last interval of 30 to 35, there will be 8 shops. And on this basis, we construct a grouped frequency table. Since we have to find the mean with the help of this data, we will need a point that will represent each class interval. Therefore, we can consider the midpoint or the class mark of each class interval as its representative, which is represented by xi. Here, from the table, we can see that the midpoint for the class interval is 12.50. And similarly, let us find the midpoint of all class intervals. Now multiply all these midpoints with their corresponding frequencies and find their sum, that is 685, and dividing it by the sum of their frequencies, that is 30. The mean of the given data is thus obtained as 22.83 approximately. This method of finding the mean is called the direct method. Here in tables 1 and 2, we use the same data, but still we get different values of mean from these two. Can you tell which mean is correct? Absolutely correct. We can say that 22.46 is the correct mean, while 22.83 is an approximate mean. Similarly, by converting any ungrouped data into grouped data, and by taking the midpoint or the class mark of each class interval as its representative, you can find the mean of that data. Today in this video, we'll learn to find the mean of grouped data by direct method. In the next video, we will see some interesting examples based on this. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned to find the mean of grouped data by direct method. Today we will see some interesting examples based on this. The amount of daily rainfall in a city in 45 days is shown in the given table. Find the mean of the rainfall in these 45 days. From the given example, we can see that it is a system of ungrouped data, where the minimum rainfall is 10 mm and the maximum rainfall is 100 mm. So first, we will construct an ungrouped frequency distribution table which will be represented as follows. Here, we can see that the number of figures is very large. Therefore, to understand this data easily, we will classify this ungrouped data into groups, where the width of grouped data is converted into grouped data by making a class interval of 15 and specify the frequencies of the class intervals, that is Fi, which is shown in the following table. So now, can you find the mean with the help of this table? Correct. To find the mean, we first find the class mark or the midpoint of each class interval, which is denoted by xi. To obtain the mean, multiply all these midpoints with their corresponding frequencies. Find the sum, that is 2047.50, and divide it by the sum of their frequencies, that is 45. On solving this, you get 45.50. So we can say that the mean of rainfall occurring in 45 days is 45.50 mm. Today in this video, we saw an interesting example based on finding the mean of grouped data by direct method. In the next video, we will see the common mistakes that may be made while finding the mean of grouped data by direct method. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we saw an interesting example based on finding the mean of grouped data by direct method. Today in this video, we will see the common mistakes that may be made while solving these types of questions. The expenditure on petrol for 50 days of a person's motorcycle is shown in the following table. Can you tell what will be the mean expenditure of petrol for 50 days? Pause the video to solve the question and then match your answer. Let's discuss option 1. From the given ungrouped data table, we can see that the minimum expenditure of petrol is 100 rupees and the maximum expenditure is 200 rupees. Since we have to find the mean, we will first construct the ungrouped frequency distribution table. Then classify this ungrouped frequency distribution table into group to construct the grouped frequency distribution table, whereby taking a class interval of 10 of the width of grouped data, we will convert them into grouped data and specify the frequencies. It is represented by the following table. So now with the help of this table, can you find the mean expenditure of petrol? Correct answer. To find the mean, find the midpoint of each class interval. Multiply them with their corresponding frequencies, find their sum, and then divide the result 7830 by the sum of their frequencies, that is 50. We get 156.60. So we can say that the mean expenditure of petrol is 156.60 rupees. That is, option 1 is the correct answer. If you have selected option 2, then it's a good try. But this is an incorrect answer. Because while finding the value of mean, you have not taken the values of summation of Fi xi divided by the summation of Fi. Instead, you have taken the maximum value of Fi xi, which is 1365, and the value of the corresponding Fi, which is 7. On solving this, we get 195, which is incorrect, because here the sigma sign means total sum and not the largest number. So hopefully you must have understood why in this example the first option is correct and the second option is incorrect. Teachers can also test the understanding of students in the class with the help of some such examples.
Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned to find mean of group data by direct method. Today, in this video, we will learn to find the mean of the grouped data by assumed mean method. We know that due to vast data, we classify the ungrouped data into grouped data and by constructing the class size, find the mean by direct method. But sometimes the value of xi and fi are so large that it becomes difficult to find their product. Also, it takes more time. So can you make the process of finding the product of fi xi even simpler? Come, let's try to understand it with the help of an example. The length of 60 branches of a tree are measured in centimeters, and the data obtained is represented in the below table. Then, what is the mean of the lengths of the branches? Come, let's see. From the given table, we can say that for each class interval first, we will find the mark, that is midpoint xi, for which we will use the class mark formula, where the class size is 40. Here the number of branches represents the frequency of each class interval, that is fi. Since we have to find the mean of the lengths of the branches, which can be calculated by dividing the summation of the product of fi xi by the summation of fi, but it takes more time. So how can you make it simpler? Come, let's see. Here we cannot do anything with fi, but xi can be reduced to a smaller value, and hence our calculation becomes easier. So, from the xi obtained, any mean out of xi can be chosen as the assumed mean, which we represent by a. But to further simplify our calculation, we can take an assumed mean A from xi, which comes somewhere between x1, x2 and xn. Hence, from the table we choose A equals to 200, where we find the difference di between A and each xi and find the deviation of xi from A, where we multiply each di by its corresponding frequency fi, which gives the product fi di, the sum of whose products are represented in the table below. So can you find the mean of the deviations? Correct. To find the mean of the deviations, the sum of the product of fi di is divided by fi. But you must remember that to find di, we subtracted A from each xi. So, while finding the mean, we have to add A in D bar, which is explained as below, from which the mean of the lengths of the branches is calculated as approximately 202.66 centimeters. So hopefully you must have understood this method of finding the mean. This method of finding the mean is called assumed mean method. In this video, we learned to find the mean of the grouped data by assumed mean method. In the next video, we will see interesting examples based on it. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned to find the mean of the group data by assumed mean method. Today, we will see an interesting example based on it. The following distribution table shows the weekly food expenses of workers of a factory, where the frequency of class interval 49 to 52 is missing. If the weekly mean expenditure is 47 rupees 20 paise, so can you find the value of missing frequency? Come, let's try to solve it. The given distribution table is a system of grouped data, where the width of the class interval is 3. Let f be a missing frequency whose value we have to find out. For this, we have to find the mean of this distribution. From the table, we can see that to find mean, we will need the midpoints of these class intervals, for which we will use the class mark or midpoint formula. As you know that, to make the calculation easier, we choose the assumed mean method. On that basis, we need an assumed mean here, which we choose from xi. Suppose here the assumed mean, that is A, is equal to 47.5, with the help of which we represent A and the difference di between each xi. From the assumed mean method, we can see here that we need the sum of the products of fi di and the sum of frequencies fi. So we multiply each di by its corresponding frequency fi and get their sum equal to 3f minus 198. While the sum of corresponding frequencies is obtained as 176 plus f. Putting the value of mean expenditure x, assumed mean A summation Fi di and summation Fi in the above formula, we get F equals to 44. Therefore, the values of the missing frequency is 44. Today in this video, we saw an interesting example based on assumed mean method. In the next video, we will see one more interesting example based on it. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we saw an interesting example based on assumed mean method. Today, we will see an interesting example based on it. The following distribution table shows the goals scored by the players during Hockey World Championship matches. So, can you find out its mean with the help of these values? Pause the video to solve the question and then match your answer. The given distribution table is a system of grouped data, where the size of the class interval is 9. We know that for mean, we need the class mark of these class intervals or midpoints. But here, the class is not continuous. So can you tell what we have to do to make the class continuous? Well done. We can see from the table that the difference between upper and lower limits is 1. So to make the class continuous, let's add half that is 0.5 in the upper limit and subtract the same from the lower limit. After that, from the midpoint formula, obtain the value of x1. As you may remember, that to solve the same type of problem in the previous video, we used the assumed mean method, where the assumed mean is calculated from xi. Suppose here the assumed mean A is 84.5,
in which difference between A and each xi is represented by di.
and find the value of Fi di. On putting the values of assumed mean A, summation Fi di and summation Fi in the formula of assumed mean method and solving the value of mean, that is, x is obtained as 91.54. Hence, we can say that the mean of the goal scored is 91.54. So hope you must have understood the assumed mean method of finding the mean.
Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned to find the mean of grouped data by the assumed mean method. Today in this video, we will learn to find the mean of grouped data by the step deviation method. The following frequency distribution table shows the price of toys and the number of toys sold by a wholesaler. With the help of this data, find the mean price of the toys. Let's see. In order to find the mean of grouped data, we learnt about the assumed mean method in the previous video, where we choose an assumed mean A from the xi and represent the difference between each xi and A by D. On this basis, we can solve this question too. And then we multiply the fi di. But here we see that the values of di are large enough to cause an error. So to avoid errors, we will study another method here. Let's try to understand this. Looking at the table carefully, we can say that all the values of column 4 are multiples of 50. If all the values of column 4 are divided by 50, then we get smaller values to multiply with fi, where 50 is the class size of each class interval, which we represent by small h. Suppose ui equals xi minus a by h, where a is the assumed mean and h is the class size. From which we calculate all the ui and construct a table. Since we have to find the mean, can you tell what we will have to do to proceed? Very good. Now we multiply each ui by fi. And get the sum of their products, and divide them by the sum of their corresponding frequencies. But you must be remembering that to obtain ui, we subtracted a from each xi and then divided it by h. Therefore, to find the mean, by substituting the value of ui in equation 1, the following formula is obtained. In the above formula, by substituting the values of the assumed mean A, class size h, summation fi ui and summation fi, and solving, we get x equals 266.25. So we can say that the mean of the toys would be 266 rupees and 25 paise. This method of finding the mean is called the step deviation method. Today in this video, we have learned to find the mean of grouped data by the step deviation method. In the next video, we will see interesting examples based on this. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we had learned to find the mean of grouped data by the step deviation method. Today we will see an interesting example based on this. The following frequency distribution records the weight of 50 apples. So, can you find the nearest mean weight of these apples? Let's see. We know that in order to find the mean, we first need to find the midpoint of this distribution table, which we find from the class intervals and show it in the table. To simplify the mean, assume 97.5 as the assumed mean A from among the xi, and obtain the mean difference di between xi and A. Can you tell me what we will have to do next? Correct. To further simplify the mean, we will use the step deviation method, where we calculate the ui, that is, divide the di by the class interval h, which is 5, and form a table. To find the mean, multiply each ui by fi and find the sum of their products and the sum of the frequencies fi. Substituting the values of the assumed mean a, the class interval h, summation fi ui and summation fi in the above formula and solving, we obtain the mean as 95.90. So, we can say that the nearest mean weight of apples is 96 grams. So, hopefully you must have understood the examples to find the mean based on the step deviation method. But note that the step deviation method will be applicable only if there is a common factor in all the DI. Today we saw an example based on finding the mean of grouped data by the step deviation method.
Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned to find the mean of grouped data by step deviation method. Today, in this video, we will learn to find the mode of grouped data. Let's look at ungrouped data before understanding mode. We have the following figures of the marks obtained by 30 students. Can you tell the mode of these figures? That's correct. As we know, mode is a value of observation that occurs most frequently. In other words, the observation with maximum frequency is called mode. So, writing these figures as follows, we can say that the value of mode here is 9. Let us see the next example. The intelligence quotient, that is IQ, of 50 students of a school are represented as below. So, can you tell what will be the mode of the given figures? Mode is a value inside the class with the highest frequency, but remember, in a grouped frequency distribution. Mode cannot be determined merely by looking at the frequencies. Instead, from frequencies, we can find the class whose frequency is more, which is called the modal class. Mode is a value inside the modal class that can be obtained by the following formula, where L is equal to the lower limit of the modal class. H is the size of the class interval. F1 is the frequency of the modal class. F0 is the frequency of the class just before the modal class. And F2 is the frequency of the class immediately after the modal class. Therefore, the maximum number of students here is 16. So the class interval is 100 to 110. From the above table, we can tell that the lower limit of the modal class is 100. The size of class interval is 10. The frequency of the modal class is 16. The frequency of the class just before the modal class is 9. And the frequency of the class that follows immediately is 13. So, substituting the measurement of all the obtained L, F0, F1, F2 and H in the model formula and on solving it. The value of mode is obtained 107. Therefore, we can say that the mode of the given data is 107. In this video today, we learned to find the mode of grouped data. In the next video, we will see interesting examples based on this. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned to find the mode of grouped data. Today, we will see an interesting example based on the method of finding the mode. The following frequency distribution is the reported life expectancy of 400 television sets. So, can you find the modal value of the life expectancy of the television sets? Let's try to solve it. We know that in order to find the mode, first of all, we must select the highest frequency. So, from the given frequency table, you can tell that 76 is the highest frequency here. So, the modal class will be 600 to 700, where 600 is the lower limit of the modal class, that is L. Can you tell what will be the size of this class interval? Perfect. Here we can see that all the class intervals are of equal measurement. So, the size of the class interval, that is the value of h, will be 100. From the modal formula, we can say that we will need the values of L, H, F0, F1 and F2 to find the mode. Hence, the values of the lower limit of the modal class, the size of the class, the frequency of the modal class, the frequency of the class immediately before the modal class and the frequency of the class immediately after it, on being substituted in the modal formula and on being solved, give the value of the mode as 669.23. Therefore, we can say that the life expectancy of the television sets is 669 hours and 13.8 minutes. In this video today, we saw an interesting example based on the method of finding the mode of grouped data. In the next video, we will see the common mistakes made while solving these types of questions based on mode of grouped data. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we saw an interesting example based on the method of finding the mode of grouped data. Today in this video, we will see the common mistakes made while solving questions based on the method of finding the mode of grouped data. The following data represent the number of telephone calls in a government office in 2 days. That is 48 hours. So, can you tell what will be the value of the mode of the following data? Pause the video to solve the question and then check your answer. Let's discuss option 2. We know that to find the mode, we first need to choose the maximum frequency of the data. So, from the given data, we can tell that the maximum frequency here will be 13, whose modal class is from 14 to 17. Where 14 is the lower limit of the modal class. From the above table, we can see that the size of each class interval is same. Therefore, the size of class interval will be 3. Since we have to find the value of the mode, therefore, with the help of the given data, substituting the values of L, H, F0, F1 and F2 in the modal formula, and on solving it. The value of mode obtained is approximately 15.09. So, option 2 is the correct answer. If you have selected option 1, it is a good try. But this answer is wrong. Because instead of the highest frequency, you choose the midpoint of the frequencies. And on the basis of that, have started to solve the question. Upon solving which, the value of mode is obtained as 12, which is the wrong answer. If you have selected option 3, then it is also a good try. But this is the wrong answer. Because in the model formula, instead of L plus F1 minus F0 upon 2 times F1 minus F0 minus F2 multiplied by H, you substitute L plus F1 minus F0 upon 2 times F0 minus F1 minus F2 multiplied by H and solve on the same basis, which upon being solved, gives the value of mode as 2, which is an incorrect answer, because the value of mode is any value inside the modal class. So hopefully, you must have understood why the second option is correct in this example and why the remaining options are incorrect. Teachers can also test students' understanding in class with the help of some such examples. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned to find the mode of grouped data. In this video, we will discuss about median of data. So let us start with the median of ungrouped data. We can assume from the name median that there must be some involvement of center point here. This means that the median is the value which separates the values of observations exactly into two parts. Can you tell what would be the median of the temperature of the following 10 days? For median, we first arrange the observations in ascending order or descending order. Then, we assess the observations and find whether they are even or odd. As you can see, the total number of observations given is 10, which is even. We have learnt that if the number of observations is even, then to get the median, we have to find the mean of n by 2th observation and n by 2 plus 1th observation. From which we get the median of the entire data as 16 degrees Celsius. And if the number of figures would be odd, then the median here would be the value of n plus 1 by 2th observation. Let us now discuss this in detail. There are 102 ice creams in an ice cream parlor. If the price of ice creams ranges from 15 rupees to 45 rupees, then, with the help of the given data, find the median cost of the ice creams. Let's try to solve this. We know that for median, we first need to arrange the data in ascending order and display in the following way. Given that the number of ice creams, that is n, is 102, which is an even number, from which we can tell that the median will be the average of the 51st and 52nd observations. But here we do not know the value of both these observations. So, can you tell what we need to do to know the values of these observations? Let's see. For this, let's create a new column. In the first line, let's group the ice creams that are priced up to 15 rupees. They are 20 in number. Similarly, in the second line, let's group the ice creams that are priced up to 20 rupees. Their total number is 43. Because in this, 20 ice creams that are priced up to 15 rupees are also included. Thus, a new column is formed in which the last row consists of 102 ice creams that are priced up to 45 rupees. This column is known as the cumulative frequency column. From the above table, we can see that the 51st observation is 22 and the 52nd observation is 24 because out of the 102 ice creams, the price of ice creams from 52 to 69 is 24 rupees. Now, if we take the average of 22 and 24, then it gives the median of the prices of ice creams as 23 rupees. Therefore, we can say that almost 50% ice creams are for less than 23 rupees and the remaining 50% ice creams are for more than 23 rupees. Remember that while creating the cumulative frequency, in every next line, the frequency of the previous line is added. In this video today, we learned about the median of ungrouped data. In the next video, we will learn to find the median of grouped data. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned about the median of ungrouped data. Today in this video, we will learn to find the median of grouped data. The following distribution table depicts the points obtained by 120 players participating in sports competition. So, can you tell what is the median of the points received by the players? Let's see. Let us first discuss the given table. If you were asked how many players got less than 10 points, would you be able to tell? Absolutely correct. 5 players scored less than 10 points. Now tell how many players got less than 20 points? No. If you think 9 players, it would be a wrong answer. Rather here, the number of players scoring less than 20 points will be 14. Because here, those players will also be included who have scored points between the class interval 0 to 10. And those players will also be included who have scored between class interval 10 to 20. Where 14 is the cumulative frequency of class 10 to 20. Similarly, we will find the cumulative frequency of all other classes. From which we can find out the number of players who scored less than 10, 20, 30, 40 and 100. This type of distribution is called the cumulative frequency distribution of the less than type, where 10, 20, 30, 40 and 100 are the upper limits of the corresponding class intervals. But because of the given distribution, if you are asked how many players got more than or equal to 0, then will you be able to tell? Absolutely correct. Here, all 120 players have scored more than or equal to 0. Similarly, if we count the number of players who scored more than or equal to 10, then their number will be 115. Because 5 players have already scored the points of the class before that is, the class interval between 0 and 10. In this way, we construct a cumulative frequency column in which the last row has the number of players scoring more than or equal to 90 points as 3. This type of distribution is known as the cumulative frequency distribution of the more than type. Since we have to find the median of the given data, so can you tell what we need to do for this? Absolutely correct. Use either of the above cumulative frequency distributions to find the median. Here, let's select the less than type of distribution, with the help of which we will find the observation that is at the center of the grouped data, which divides the data into 2 equal parts. You can see that here n is equal to 120, which is an even number. Therefore, if the number of observations is even, the median observation will be n by 2. So here, looking at the value of the median n over 2, that is 60, can you tell it is greater than or closest to the cumulative frequency of which class interval? Well done. The class interval of 40 to 50 is the only one whose cumulative frequency is more than 60 and also closest to it, which we call the median class, where 40 is its lower limit and 50 is its upper limit. To obtain the median, we use the following formula: L plus n by 2 minus Cf by f multiplied by h, where L is the lower limit of the median class, that is 40, and by 2 equals 60. Cf is the cumulative frequency of the class immediately preceding the median class, that is 52. F means the frequency of the median class, that is 26, and h is the measurement of the class, that is 10. Substituting these in the formula and solving it gives 43.07. So we can say that the median of the points obtained by the players is 43.07. This means that approximately 50% of the players have got points less than or equal to 43.07, and the remaining 50% of the players have got points more than or equal to 43.07. In this video, today we learned to find the median of grouped data. In the next video, we will see interesting examples based on this. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned to find the median of grouped data. Today, we will see an interesting example based on the median of grouped data. The following frequency distribution shows the pocket money of 100 students in a class. If the average pocket money of the students is 62, can you find the number of students X and Y? Let's try to solve it. Since we know that the median is obtained only when we are given the cumulative frequency in the distribution table, so let's construct the cumulative frequency for this distribution table, which we will denote in the third column. It is given that the total number of students is 100. Therefore, the value of the last line of the cumulative frequency 70 plus x plus y will be equal to the total number of students, which we represent by equation 1. If we talk about the median, we can see from the median formula. L, or the lower limit of the median class, n, which is the total number of students, CF, or the cumulative frequency of the class just before the median class, F, or the frequency of the median class, and H, that is class size, will be required. Its median class is 60 to 70 because 62 belongs to this class, whose low limit is 60, class size is 10, frequency is 20, and the total number of students is 100. And we also know that the cumulative frequency of the class just before the median class is CF, whose value is 32 plus x. Putting all these values in the median formula, we get 14 as the value of x. Since we have to find the number of students x and y, can you tell the value of y? Well done. Putting the value of x in equation 1, the value of y is obtained as 16. So we can say that the number of students x and y will be 14 and 16 respectively. So hopefully you would have understood how to find the median of grouped data. Teachers can also test students' understanding in the classroom with the help of some such examples.
Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned how to find the median of grouped data. Today, in this video, we will learn about the relationship between mean, mode, and median. We have so far learned about the measures of central tendency of grouped data, that is, the mean, the mode, and the median separately, whose value are almost equal to each other. Let's understand this by an example. The following frequency distribution represents the points scored by 35 players in a game. Find the mean, the mode, and the median from the given data, and also compare them. To get the mean from the above data, substituting the sum of observations and the number of observations in the formula for the mean, on solving the mean is obtained as 25.28. If we talk about the mode, then substituting all the values from the above data in the formula for mode and solving, we get the value as 26. So, can you tell what will be the median from the given distribution table? Good. For this, first let's construct the cumulative frequency column where, substituting all the values in the formula for the median and solving, we get the median value as 25.50. Note and tell what are the similarities between the mean, the mode, and the median. You are absolutely right. Looking at the values of these three, one can say that these are the nearest values to each other. But if you're given a situation where the values of any two out of these three are given, then can you find the third value? Let's explore this further. For this, the great mathematician Carl Pearson said that a relation between mean, mode, and median would be 3 times the median is almost equal to mode plus 2 times the mean. In this regard, if any two values are kept in this relation, then we can get the third value. Here, according to our convenience, we can write this relation in any way. Today, in this video, we learned to find the relationship between the mean, the mode, and the median. In the next video, we will see interesting examples based on this. A very warm welcome to all of you to this video. In the previous video, we learned how to find the relationship between the mean, the mode, and the median. Today, in this video, we will see some interesting examples based on it. In the previous video, we saw that the value of the mean is 25.28 and the value of the median is 25.50. So, from the relationship between the mean, the mode, and the median, can you find the value of the mode? To solve this, pause the video and then match your answer. Good. Upon substituting the value of the mean and the median in the relationship between these three and solving, we get the value of the mode as 25.94 approximately. If we compare this value with the value found using the formula for the mode in the previous video, then we can say that these two values are almost equal to each other. So hopefully, you must have understood the relationship between the mean, the mode, and the median. Teachers can also test the understanding of students in the class with the help of some such examples. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we saw the relationship between mean, mode, and median. In this video today, we will understand the graphical representation of cumulative frequency distribution. We know that we learn concepts better and more quickly through pictures than through words. For example, while watching a cricket match on television, many times we see this type of graph, and by looking at the graph, we understand in which over and with what score the player has got out. Using this concept, we have learned to draw graphs from the frequency distribution table in the previous class. So let's discuss it. On the basis of grouped data, we can see that the marks obtained by the 120 players who participated in the sports competition is represented as follows. So, can you represent these figures graphically? Well done. For graphical representation, firstly, we need to find the midpoint of the given class intervals, which is shown in the frequency table as follows. Now, plot the midpoint on the x-axis and the frequencies on the y-axis. Plot the corresponding points B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K of the ordered pairs obtained from the above frequency distribution. But keep in mind that a point represents 0 frequency, which comes in the class -10, 0, which is just above the 0, 10, and the midpoint of that interval, that is -5. And also plot point L, that is 105, 0 that comes just after point K, that is 95, 3. It is done in this manner here so that we can get the frequency polygon about which we have studied in the previous class. Therefore, we will join all these points with the line segment and obtain the graph of the given frequency distribution A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. If you're asked to draw less than ogive for the above data, then can you draw the ogive? Let's see. For less than ogive, using the given data, we will construct the cumulative frequency distribution for less than ogive, where 10 to 100 are the upper limits of the corresponding class intervals. To represent the obtained data graphically, mark the upper limits on the x-axis and cumulative frequencies on the y-axis. Here, we will take the scale 1 square unit equal to 10 places on the x-axis and 1 square unit equal to 20 places on the y-axis. Remember, you can take any scale on either of the axes according to your convenience. Let us now plot the corresponding points A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J of all these upper limits and the corresponding pairs obtained with the corresponding cumulative frequency. And join all these points carefully. This curve obtained is called cumulative frequency curve of less than type or ogive. In this video today, we learned to create a graph of less than type for graphical representation of cumulative frequency distribution. In the next video, we will learn to create a graph of more than type for graphical representation of cumulative frequency distribution. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned to create a less than type of ogive for graphical representation of cumulative frequency distribution. Today, in this video, we will learn to create more than type of ogives for graphical representation of cumulative frequency distribution and also learn to find the median with the help of less than and more than type of ogives. As you all know that, from the frequency distribution given in the question in the previous video, you created a cumulative frequency distribution of less than type of ogive. So can you now draw more than type of ogive? Let's see. For this type of ogive, a frequency distribution will have to be constructed with the help of the given data, which is called more than type of cumulative frequency distribution, where 0 to 90 are the lower limits of the corresponding class intervals. To represent this obtained data graphically, mark the following limits on the x-axis and cumulative frequencies on the y-axis. where the lower limits indicate the number obtained by players and cumulative frequencies indicate the number of players. Here, on the x-axis, we will take one square unit equal to 10 places, and on the y-axis, we will take one square unit equal to 20 places. Let us now mark the corresponding points A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J of ordered pairs obtained from all these lower limits and corresponding cumulative frequency on the graph. And join all these points carefully. If you look at this graph carefully, you will notice that we have got a curve here, which we call cumulative frequency curve or OGIV of more than type. Can you guess what do we use cumulative frequency for? Well done! We use cumulative frequency to obtain the median of frequency distribution. Now look at the graph once more and guess whether you can find the median of both the OGIVs, that is, less than type and more than type. Let's see. If we draw both types of OGIVs on the same graph, then these two intersect each other at a point. From this point, let's draw a perpendicular on the x-axis. The point at which the perpendicular drawn intersects x-axis is the median of the data. Therefore, we can say that the median of the numbers obtained by the players is 43.07. In this video today, we learned to create more than type of OGIVs for graphical representation of cumulative frequency distribution and to find the median with the help of less than and more than type of OGIVs. In the next video, we will see interesting examples based on this. Welcome to this video. In the previous video, we learned the graphical representation of cumulative frequency distribution. In this video today, we will see interesting examples based on it. The per-day profit of 100 shops in a town is recorded as follows. So can you draw less than type of OGIV for the above data? Let's see. We know that to get the OGIV in the given distribution, we need to create the cumulative frequency distribution for less than type of OGIV. Here you can see that 50, 100, 150, 200, 250 and 300 are the upper limits of the corresponding class intervals. To represent the data from the obtained distribution table graphically, mark the upper limits of profit on the x-axis in rupees and cumulative frequencies on the y-axis, where upper limits indicate profit and cumulative frequencies indicate the number of stores. Here, we take a square unit on the x-axis equal to 50 rupees and a square unit on the y-axis equal to 10 shops. Let us now plot the corresponding points A, B, C, D, E and F of ordered pairs obtained from all these upper limits and corresponding cumulative frequency. And join all these points carefully. The curve so obtained is called less than of cumulative frequency curve or OGIV. Let's look at another example. a colony, the heights of 360 trees were measured, which is represented in the following frequency distribution. So can you draw both ogives on the same graph for these figures and then find the median height of the trees? Let's see. With the help of the given distribution, we first construct a less than cumulative frequency distribution for less than type of ogive. Where the corresponding upper limits of the class intervals are from 7 to 56. So can you draw less than type of ogive with the help of the above distribution? Well done! To represent the data obtained from the distribution table graphically, mark the upper limits on the x-axis and cumulative frequencies on the y-axis, where upper limits indicate the height of trees and cumulative frequencies indicate the number of trees. Here, we take 1 square unit equal to 7 feet on the x-axis and 1 square unit equal to 50 trees on the y-axis. Let us now plot the corresponding points of ordered pairs A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H obtained from the upper limits and corresponding cumulative frequency and join them carefully. From which we get a curve which is less than type of ogive. So now, can you get more than type of ogive using the given distribution? Perfect! For this, we will need to construct more types of cumulative frequency . Where 0 to 49 are the lower limits of the corresponding class intervals. To represent these obtained data graphically, mark the following lower limits on the x-axis and cumulative frequencies on the y-axis. Plot the corresponding points of ordered pairs A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H obtained with the following limit and the corresponding cumulative frequency and carefully join all these points. From which we get a curve which is called more than type of ogive. Since we have to find the median for this along with both types of ogives, can you guess what we have to do for this? Perfect! For this, we will draw both ogives on the same graph. If you look carefully, you can tell that these two ogives intersect each other at a point. If we draw a perpendicular from this point of intersection on the horizontal, the point at which the perpendicular drawn intersects the x-axis is the median of the data. Thus, 32 is the median of these two ogives. So, we can say that the median height of the trees is equal to 32 feet. We hope that you would have understood the graphical representation of cumulative frequency distribution. Teachers can also test students' understanding in the class with the help of some such examples.